How average investors could potentially beat Wall Street on oil trades. In today's cover story, ugly is in, the sweater trend that's sweeping the nation. Plus, how to spot opportunities in troubled emerging markets, and catnip, the kitty that's making big cash for being in a bad mood. First Business starts now.
You're watching First Business. Financial news, analysis, and today's investment ideas.
Good morning. I'm Angela Miles. It's Tuesday, December 9th. In our first look, taking money off the table. Investors sell stocks following several record runs. The Dow fell triple digits yesterday, while the Nasdaq and S&P 500 also lost ground. Gold gained $14 and oil closed at $63, the lowest level since 2009. H&R Block gets slammed with selling after the close. That stock fell more than 6% on an earnings miss. And the Department of Justice reportedly is suing Deutsche Bank and Wells Fargo for allegedly scheming to avoid paying federal taxes. Trader Dan Stesich of Athena Advisor Services is with us on this Tuesday morning. Hello, Dan.
Hello, nice to see you, Angie.
It's great to see you as well. We've had a record run in the market. Now we're starting to see some selling. What do you think is going on here?
Okay, we had some global growth worries yesterday. The market dropped as much as 1% at any given time down there. But the reality is these growth worries have been here for a long time, and the U.S. economy is still doing all right. The one thing is, well, what about China? China isn't going negative. They're just slower growth. So that's the one thing I'd be worried about more than anything else. More than anything, the market's near record highs. You have to find opportunity. When you don't see it, you take some profits, and that's what happened yesterday.
Average investors, Dan, are going for an energy ride. Apparently, retail investors, just small guys, have been out there buying BP, Halliburton, Transocean. I think they may have gotten this trade right, Daniel.
Well, you know what? The average investor is getting a little more savvy. And when you have markets at record highs, as we do now, you have to find value. What has been beaten down? The energy sector. So you look for those stocks. You don't have to buy it all now, maybe 50%. If it goes down further, you buy a little more. But if it goes up, you're probably in a real good spot.
Just make sure you buy low and sell high. That's all it takes, right?
Absolutely. It's so easy, right?
Mostly. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Happy to be here.
Chuck Coppola is here now with more on the angst over Asia and how to spot places to invest in China and Japan while everyone else worries. Good morning, Chuck.
Angie, angst is growing over Asian economies. In the third quarter, Japan's economy slipped into recession, shrinking 1.9%. Japanese consumers are struggling with an 8% tax hike. And in China, exporting is slowing down. Chinese economic growth is at a 5-year low of 7.3%. Wealth manager Ed Jurtson, vice president of Mac Investment Securities, offers his view on investing in Asia.
Well, if I'm looking at the overseas markets, especially if people are talking about China, one of the areas that people are most concerned about is the real estate market in China. And so there's so much uncertainty on that side. So you look at the growth of consumer spending, let's say in particular in China, and that's where the government is really focused on, is trying to shift that economy from an export nation to a consumer-based economy. So if there were specific areas, in particular in China, we'd be looking at, it would be at the consumer.
Copper futures have been on a fairly steady slide since August. China is the largest user of the metal.
In the U.S., home buyers are in for a cheap thrill. Starting December 13th, potential home buyers can plunk down as little as 3%. The program is aimed at first-time buyers and reminiscent of the era that sparked the housing crash. The guidelines were released yesterday by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The mortgages are being criticized by some Republicans and industry officials who fear it will lead to a new slew of loan defaults. Fannie and Freddie counter that rules banning risky loan practices are now in place.
Another big bite out of McDonald's sales in November. The company reported a steeper than expected drop, hurt by weaknesses in both the domestic and Asian markets. The world's largest restaurant chain also warned that the results would put significant pressure on its fourth quarter outlook. November was the 6th straight month of declining sales for the burger giant.
Tech companies lead the way in the IPO market this week. The main attraction is Lending Club, a business-to-business online lender, which debuts Thursday. The expected price, $10 to $12. The ticker symbol is LC. On Friday, software provider Hortonworks trading around $12 to $14 under HDP, and New Relic at $18 to $20 under NEWR. Also, China-based Momo, a mobile-based dating platform, at $12.50 to $14.50 under MOMO.
There are 4 software IPOs that are all going to price on the same night. That's this Thursday night to trade for Friday. So that should let us know whether the coast is clear or not for many large tech names that have been waiting in the wings. And I'll note one of the obvious ones were being Box and GoDaddy.
A total of 11 IPOs are planned for this week as companies rush to make it to the market before the end of the year.
More pain at Sony as hackers continue to target the entertainment giant. The company's PlayStation network was hit yesterday and forced offline for several hours. A group called Lizard Squad is claiming responsibility for this latest attack. The PlayStation hit comes as Sony is still reeling from another bigger hack from a group calling itself Guardians of Peace that compromised more than 47,000 Social Security numbers, including those of Hollywood celebrities.
Banks are urging some customers to keep their cash. The Wall Street Journal says bankers are telling their largest customers to take their money or face fees. New regulations are blamed. Reportedly, bankers with JP Morgan Chase, Citigroup, HSBC, and Bank of America have all talked privately with their clients.
The superbug scare has Merck taking action. The pharma company is buying Cubist Pharmaceuticals for $8.4 billion. Cubist manufactures antibiotics. Superbugs are bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics. The bugs are spreading in India and have also been identified in France, Japan, and in the U.S. Merck shares rallied 39 cents yesterday. Cubist stock jumped 35%.
A promising new cancer drug starts pivotal studies in hopes of getting worldwide approvals. The new pill, called AG-221, treats advanced blood cancers. Data presented on Monday showed great promise in patients being treated with it when they had a specific gene mutation. Agios Pharmaceuticals, along with partner Celgene, say the new drug will now undergo wider clinical studies. Both companies rallied yesterday.
British Petroleum's oil spill saga continues. The Supreme Court has rejected BP's request to review a settlement related to the 2010 Deepwater Horizon explosion. In 2012, BP reached a settlement with thousands of Gulf Coast residents and businesses. BP later claimed that the program paid out money to people who were not harmed by the disaster. BP says it is still concerned that the program has made awards to claimants that suffered no injury from the spill. Lawyers for residents say the ruling is a huge victory for the Gulf. Also at BP, plunging oil prices have the company cutting hundreds of jobs in the U.S. and in the U.K.
Bernie Madoff's Ponzi scheme minions are being sentenced this week. Yesterday, the court sentenced Daniel Bonventure to 10 years in prison. He was the back office director of the operation. Prison time will be doled out to 4 more Madoff employees into Friday. Bernie Madoff is serving 150 years for being the mastermind of the Ponzi scheme.
India's capital is banning Uber. The ride-sharing startup is being shut down by the government in New Delhi. It follows rape accusations brought against an Uber driver there. Uber's CEO said the company will do everything to bring the perpetrator to justice and to support the victim and her family in her recovery. Yesterday, a Dutch court banned Uber in the Netherlands. It's also been curbed in Germany and faces pushback in the U.S., in Portland, Oregon, and in the state of Nevada.
Web winners are emerging in the race to attract the most online holiday shoppers. One investment firm tells CNBC Macy's, Nordstrom, Walmart, and Best Buy are leading the pack in online sales among brick and mortar stores with .com shoppers. Amazon is already being declared a winner in nearly all categories in holiday gift buying except for toys. Amazon investors, however, are selling shares at a brisk pace. That stock closed last night at $306, breaking through a key technical level of $314.
In our cover story, if you like the Naked Mole Rat and the AMC Pacer, a fishbowl on wheels, you probably have an ugly sweater in your closet. And if it's really ugly and seasonal, there's a special day for you as ugly sweaters morph into spun gold for retailers. Blame it on Bridget Jones' Mark Darcy. Ugly sweaters have become fashion's facial tick. Ignored in polite company, but like car wrecks on the interstate, we cannot seem to tear our eyes away from them.
Oh, it's hideous, yeah. It's awesome.
Retailers are feeding this malady with racks upon racks of ugly sweaters because we're buying them.
It's becoming a fast-growing apparel category that we need to have for Christmas.
Normally at $30 a crack, this Target store in Chicago had most of its supply cleaned out on Black Friday, when fashion apparel, even that which is arguably questionable, was 40% off. Would your boyfriend wear one of these?
He does, yes.
It's a disposable income item for sure. And it's something you'll probably only wear that one day a year. So I think it's a positive sign.
Least you think this is a male-only affliction, the women's section of ugly sweaters, yes, there is one, had just one left, Santa-themed and only moderately ugly. Apparently, understatement does not fly, unlike certain reindeer. No, this is all about more.
Bells and glitter and anything gaudy that you could imagine.
Is more better?
Absolutely.
Jingles are important. Lights are nice. I think if you could have any kind of real decorations on you, I think that adds to the motif.
Would it help to drag an electrical cord behind you?
I think so. If you could plug in, it adds to it.
And Ugly Sweater's special day this year has been moved from December 19th to December 12th for reasons as random as this kit's Christmas icons haphazardly placed as if the holiday threw up on wool. There's no stopping this. Groupon says it's sold about 40,000 ugly sweaters since mid-October.
Utah is getting a major ski lift. Vail Resorts will spend $50 million on upgrades at 2 of its Utah resorts for next year's ski season. $50 million is a mega investment, considering the highest a company has ever paid to upgrade the slopes was $12 million. In its earnings report, Vail Resorts missed Wall Street's expectations. However, that stock is up 22% for the year.
Grumpy Cat is now officially a member of the 1%. The internet sensation feline has earned $100 million in the past 2 years. That's according to the British tabloid Daily Express. But Grumpy Cat's owner, Tabitha Bundison, refutes that number, calling it nowhere near accurate. She declined to comment further on her cat's specific earnings, but says she is considering a full interview in order to set the record straight.
Taking a look now at the economic calendar for today, it's wholesale inventories for October and the JOLT job openings for October. On the earnings calendar, Krispy Kreme, Pep Boys, AutoZone, and Burlington stores. Still to come, 4 easy ways to become Santa's helper and find out which new cars are set to rule the road in 2015. Plus, why Russians are taking a crash course in luxury.
As the ruble tanks, Russians are rushing to buy sports cars and high-end SUVs. Reports say Russians are worried that their money soon won't be worth much, so they're snapping up expensive cars. Demand for Lexus surged 63% last month, while sales of Porsche were up 55%. The ruble has collapsed more than 25% during the past couple of months. The currency has nosedived 19% against the dollar.
Americans are becoming more comfortable paying top dollar for new cars. Car companies are in the driver's seat as sales of cars and trucks are expected to swell to more than 1 million this year. True Car reports the average price $50 grand, and that is 30% more than a year ago. Bill Mueller has a peek at the hot cars to buy in 2015. Bill.
All the new cars are coming out, but who knows what the best buy vehicles are for the 2015 model year? Well, you know who knows? Kelley Blue Book. In fact, each year they come out with their top 12 list. Jack Nerad is the executive editorial director for the Kelley Blue Book. So, Jack, in a nutshell, is it all about electronics that makes cars better, safer, more desirable?
Well, it certainly helps. The electronics in today's cars is just amazing. The amount of computer power probably could have sent us to the moon back in 1969, 1970. So that's certainly part of it.
Well, let's dive in. You looked at more than 300 models. Which ones made the cut?
Well, our overall winner is not even a car. It's the Ford F-150 pickup truck, and it was the winner because we think it's revolutionary. And it's revolutionary in a segment that is often evolutionary and very conservative. They went to an all-aluminum body, high-strength steel below that. That's revolutionary in and of itself. And then the powertrains, the turbocharged EcoBoost engines in particular, really wowed us. Great fuel economy and smooth, effortless power. So we like the Ford F-150 a whole lot.
Which manufacturers had more of their cars in the top 12?
Well, there were two manufacturers that did particularly well. Honda had 4, the Honda Civic, the Honda Accord, the Honda Odyssey, and the Honda CR-V. And Chevy had 4, the Chevy Impala, the Chevy Tahoe, the Chevrolet Corvette, and the Chevy Volt. So both those manufacturers scored quite well in our testing.
Jack, what made these cars tops?
What we're looking at is value. We look at cars the way people would drive them, and then we test them in that same way. We probably spent as much time out of the car or crawling around the car as we did driving the car. It's not strictly about driving. They all drive quite well. But it's about how the features work. Do the seats fold down properly in SUVs? Those kind of things that you deal with day to day. Are very important to people. And then, of course, the cost of the vehicles to own is a critical factor as well.
All right, well, you can see the list and more at the Kelley Blue Book website, kbb.com. Jack Nerad, thanks so much.
Hey, great to talk to you. I appreciate it.
Coming up, McDonald's is on a losing streak, why that stock has hunger pains. And after the break, from snail mail to mobile money, find out some easy ways to make a difference this holiday season. Santa's little elves are scrambling to make Christmas wishes come true. Lisa Dietland of Dietland & Associates is with me on set this morning with tips on how to help Santa fill up his sled before he gets those reindeer in gear. Good to have you back here.
Happy to be here. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Same to you. Now, anybody can be an elf, correct?
Anybody can be a Santa elf, and we have 4 programs I'd love to share with. The first is the U.S. Post Office. What most people don't know is those letters to Santa actually end up at the post office, and you can be an elf by going to the post office and the main post office if you're in Chicago, but checking your local communities and actually fulfilling the wishes of a child. You can find out what they want, the sizes they need, the gifts they're asking for. We also have the traditional Toys for Tots program.
Everybody loves that.
Everybody loves toys for tots, and you can take an unwrapped gift and place it in a receptacle bin that they have out all over the country. And if you go to their website, toysfortot.org, they'll tell you where the bins are. And there's still time to put a bin out if you want to collect toys at your workplace. The others is to think about giving trees that are often available at churches, houses of worship, as well as boys and girls clubs or big brothers, big sisters, gathering places for children. They'll have paper ornaments you can take and fulfill those. And the last is the Make a Believe campaign through Make-A-Wish at Macy's. That if you take a letter and you mail it at Macy's, the Believe campaign will donate $1 to Make-A-Wish.
Also of interest to our viewers is how to get those tax deductions in before the end of the year.
Absolutely. Everyone's thinking about that right now. And they have to be in by 11:59 on December 31st p.m. That's the minute before midnight. They have to be in. And if you're doing a donation, and you're putting it in the post office, it's when it's postmarked on the outside of the envelope. Or if you're doing a stock transaction, we say give it a week to process, especially at the end of the year with some of the funky holidays and when people are off. And if you're doing a credit card donation or a donation via your mobile phone, give it a few extra days. Don't wait till the last minute, but it must be in and postmarked by 11:59 on December 31st.
Again, happy holidays to you, Lisa.
Happy holidays.
Still ahead, the Big Mac attack that took a bite out of the Dow. A money manager chews on his investment in McDonald's next in Chart Talk. Investors have a case of the burger blues. Joining me now is Matt Shapiro, president of MWS Capital. Good morning.
Morning, Angie.
You own McDonald's. Are you nervous about this stock? It was hit hard yesterday.
Well, I'm not nervous. I'm not thrilled. It was like, a bad Happy Meal. What happened, of course, is that McDonald's had disastrous same-store sales, especially in the U.S., down over 4% worldwide. Negative currency impacts going to shave fourth quarter earnings by about 15 to 20 cents. And investors, of course, weren't pleased, sending the stock down to $92.
What are you going to do here? Sell some shares or buy some more?
Well, I'm here to hold it for the long run. And, it's not for everybody, but realize you're getting a 3.7% dividend. And one of the things is that after so many quarters of negative comps, there's going to be something happening in the boardroom. We're going to get a new CEO, unfortunately, and fortunately, at some time, because they got to have some dramatic decisions to change, to change what's been going on with their same-store sales. Some of it was due to bad luck. The Chinese issue, they had some suppliers in China that affected their sales with tainted meat. Obviously that's going to take some time, but their franchise here in the United States being down 4%, that's absolutely unacceptable.
All right, let's talk about Nike. This has been a very strong stock. Is it too late to buy Nike?
Well, it's a classic growth stock. I know an investor who bought the stock in 1987. It probably dropped 20 or 30% during the 87 crash, but I think the guy has probably like $1 million worth of it, and he put about $5,000 into it. So it shows you the magic and power of appreciation of a fantastic growth stock. Nike's a little expensive, but its earnings have been rising as opposed to McDonald's. So I think it's a stock that anyone could fit in their portfolio.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
Well, that's it for now. Coming up tomorrow, the secret behind the superstar fundraising success of Prince William and Kate as the Royals take on America. From all of us at First Business, have a great Tuesday.